I'm using the money I have to maximize my life quality in terms of my nutrition, for example, and for example to travel here.
What's your financial mindset?
Yeah. When I was 19, I moved out from my mom's house, and I moved not into a lone apartment, but first I moved in with a friend, and a very good friend, and spent 3 years like that. And that was actually a pretty good transition to living alone, because through that I still, because like when I compare now my Berlin life to the time back then in my hometown where all my friends were, like before I met enough people in Berlin now, it was a little bit isolating. Like I spent maybe 1 year in Berlin without knowing the people I do now, and at times it would get a little bit lonely. And so that's why moving in with some friends before might be for a good solution for many people. I was very lucky that my mom was always able to financially provide for me as a student, like the normal levels, but it was very flexible, and whenever I would have problems I could come to her. I never had problems then, because I appreciated her support and respected it and was doing smart stuff, but so in that sense I was very fortunate to not having to work a job right after school, but I could concentrate on university first and on living the new life as a student, and then later started to go into jobs and earn money myself. Cash flow is not, as a student developer, not high enough so that I would save a lot of money. So I'm using the money I have to maximize my life quality in terms of my nutrition, for example, and for example to travel here. Like plane tickets overseas are pretty expensive compared to inland or like in Europe. Yeah, so those investments don't feel at all like a bad investment, or it doesn't hurt to put the money there. Don't matter how much it is. But if it's stuff that doesn't really help me, it hurts to spend the money. So it's like not about the amount of money, but the use it's put to.
You are kind of value.
Yeah.
You see value.
Yeah. I put my money where I can get.
See the value.
Yeah, exactly. And I think most people actually do that, but their values are just different, you know. So that's where their money will go. If they say, okay, I value a hedonistic lifestyle, I value going to party every weekend, spending a lot of money on alcohol or anything, they will put their money to it. And that's in that time, and it will give them the value they seek, because otherwise they wouldn't spend the money. It's like the intrinsic motivation to spend money is to get the same or more value from the money you spend compared to the amount of value the money has as money. That's one thing I realized at some point that I think is really interesting.
You invest, or do you save, what's your mindset? Do you buy, do you rent, what's your mindset? You go for second hand, you go for first hand?
It really depends. Like I don't have one solution for everything. But as I said right now, I'm not focusing much on saving money, because the money I would save is much less, that's an important point to that, much less than the money I will be making after my studies are finished and I work whatever job there is or do my own stuff. So I will be earning much more money then after my graduation than I'm earning right now. So if I compare now the money I could save right now, if I'm really cutting my lifestyle down, my quality of life, compared to the money I could save then, the percentage relative wise is so little that I will now spend the money to get the quality of life that I need to, what's the word?
To reach your goal.
Yeah, to reach my goal, to be successful in that, and be enabled by the quality of life.
idea of, he would earn more later, so he's not worried too much about right now, just because do not want to compromise the quality of life.
It's a good word, yeah, compromise.
Yeah, we should not compromise.
What about the YouTube trends? Do you see this rich quick, investment quick?
Yeah.
Are you inspired by these?
I mean, they catch your interest at first sometimes because what they do is they try to catch your interest because they're media people, right? So they get money from catching your interest and from getting more eyeballs on themselves, putting people in their conversion funnel, getting them on their website, and getting them to buy the stuff in the end, like some course or something. So that's mostly the people you see online actually, because the people more like in tendency, the people that really do the stuff that those people on YouTube that try to sell you something, talk about, they're too busy to make YouTube videos most times. But obviously there's a nuance, right? But so I already am a little bit suspicious, promising you those like results with some secret stuff. And there are also other reasons. I guess the whole episode for itself. There are other reasons, because if it's so profitable to do what they tell you, they wouldn't tell you. Because most markets are in some way arbitrage. So if enough people go into it, it gets leveled out and the profits are aware. Because in many markets, the way you make money is because you have an edge of some sense that makes you able to provide the value you provide in the first place. And when everybody's able to provide that value, the demand or the demand sinks. It's like, yeah.
Do you read books every day? How many books you read? Do you have goals?
I read as much as I can, but it's not as much as it could be, because through university, for example, I also read a lot of that. But another thing is that nowadays you really get distracted by shorter form text online. When there are articles or news articles or even microblogging like Twitter, if you would compare that to books, you probably wouldn't read much less than people that read books. But probably stuff that is in books in tendency has more usable knowledge to you than the stuff you read online.
So
Because yeah.
What kind of books do you read?
I read
Finance, personal development, mindset?
yeah, in some sense some personal development, but more specific, not this overall view on it. Like that I already have a little bit, that's like I had enough from that. But I read then more specific books for every field of that. So for example, I consume a lot from the app of Sam Harris. He's a neuroscientist and he talks a lot about meditation and Buddhist meditation practices and mind practices, something like non-duality and being in the present moment and stuff. And so I really consume a lot about that, because that's something I noticed for myself, going back to the self-reflection point, that I tend to go back, like go into my mind and isolate myself from the surroundings and try to plan and control what will arise and what will happen to me. And all the times what just comes out of it is that I get reality checked as soon as the situation appears, because I'm not able to computate what will happen and control it. And so I'm trying to, by consuming that content, from the content that Sam Harris curates, that I'm more present in the moment and open myself up more. And that's for that the meditation stuff and the Buddhist practices really helped me. But that's like something that only happened the last 1 or 2 years. So before that I wouldn't think about that much.
Very similar books, like mindset books, or I like listening to podcasts, like your podcast, I Will Teach You to Be Rich podcast by Ramit Sethi, or a lot of books that are audible because I rarely find myself in a habit of sitting in one place because I don't want to be time place bound. So I like to keep traveling. So what I do is I listen to audiobooks online. But about mindset, about financial, about partly I do what you said, read online as a shorter form of summarized from the books, because I feel that I want to keep my time for something that I value, and I think books is a great place to get knowledge, but I just like the summary, maybe not the full length.
I mean, in that way you can maybe find out if it inspires you and then still get to the book.
Correct.
You iterate more quickly about what
some books I actually go in very deep once I get the idea, like anything about technology, Steve Jobs, Now Here, so those kind of books. I think we have some common ideology there because I can't be still too long. If I want to sit somewhere, I want to plan. But if I want to sit and read or do something that is continuous, I want to be moving. I like to do that on my road trip or in the car, listen to podcasts. Like when you said about you want to try out whether you like it or not, and that's what I've been exploring. I've been going sailing, I've been going to deep sea sailing, kayaking, and we share all these things as a kid. We go cycling in our muban. We used to take all the adults in our muban and take 20 people to the park to cycle, and we would have a good time. And that's where all this mindset came from, that I want to find something nice and then bring people on board.
Yeah.
And then share the experience with them, and then
see
share
how they have that experience.
Yes,
how they are so happy.
And that experience is the key word. I want to be rich in experience. I want to try everything. I want to be able to explore. And what you said, you want to see enough to be able to know what you like. At this time, I'm still feeling that I haven't seen enough. Even if you be somewhere for a week, or I was just talking to him, if we go somewhere for a week, you just make your checkbox that you have been there. But if you go there for a month, you really sink in, or you go there even longer, you really get to know the culture, you get to know friends, you have new friends, you make new connections. And if you have the time freedom, then you can afford to go somewhere for that long without having to worry. And your work and your commitment, and I can relate to the delivery, whatever has to be done, my view is the same. It has to be done. It has to be ticked. It has to be delivered. But have to be not in the way that I'm time or deprived. I don't have to be like cutting off something to make the achievement.
Yeah.
So I have to really manage it remotely.